Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Inside Inter Miami, the Miami Herald show about the Inter Miami Football Club, Lionel Messi, and everything related to this team. I'm Andre Fernandez, your host, back once again with Michelle Coffin, our Inter Miami beat writer. Again, another eventful week of happenings for this team that we're going to go over in this week's episode. Starting with, of course, the status of said superstar, megastar, Lionel Messi, who got hurt, unfortunately, in the most recent game for the club. We'll go over what his status is. Is he getting, how soon can he be back on the field? Coach Javier Mascherano had a little bit to say about that and gave a little bit of a glimpse of what the timetable could be. But again, with this team, a lot of games coming up, always a busy schedule. So let's see how long the Messiah will be out. Besides that, though, his buddy Rodrigo de Paul is now officially full-fledged member of the team, has played in 2 games already, and has already begun to make an impact on the team. Miami is in position to potentially advance in the League's Cup. They had a victory to start it against Atlas, a dramatic victory that I was there for. Last second goal in stoppage time to get the full 3 points, and then came the game against Necaxa, which they lost Messi, seemed to lose Maxi Falcon to a red card. We'll go over that situation as well. But we were able to sneak out a victory. Not a full victory, only got 2 points because it went to the PK round. But they stand with 5 points now, pretty much needing a win, practically needing a win to advance to the quarterfinals. They still could get in with a PK win, but it'd be a little more complicated. The one that will make sure is just beat the team in overtime. They play Pumas on Wednesday night in the last of the opening phase games of the League's Cup. So we'll go over all of that and then some in this week's episode. But Michelle, let's start with what everybody wants to know. When is Messi going to be able to suit up again and get back on the field?
Well, what we know for sure is that he's not going to play Wednesday night. Javier Mascherano confirmed that Tuesday morning that Messi will not be available for the Wednesday night game against Pumas, which is a decisive game. Like you mentioned, if they win, they're in. If
Right.
they win, they're in the quarterfinals. They sit in third place now. The top 4 advance, and they have 5 points. 6 teams below them have 4 points. So nobody can catch them if they win. Like you said, if they tie, if they win a penalty kick shootout, there's a possibility, but then you go into mathematical machinations, and it's complicated. There are a lot of other teams that would be vying for those spots, and Miami's goal differential is only +1 at the moment. So really the best thing they could do to get in, it's in their hands, win, and they're
Even
in. They
regulation.
will
Yep.
not they will not have Lionel Messi for tomorrow. He has what has been described by the club as a minor muscle injury in his upper right leg. Javier Mascherano would not venture to say a timetable because he said, because of all the noise that surrounds this guy, he's a special player. He's different from other players. So when you start to say he's going to play or he's not going to play, it creates a lot of noise. He said, all I can tell you is he is not available Wednesday, but it seems to be a mild injury. He said that they're going to take it day by day after Wednesday's game, and that he did mention that Lionel Messi has a history of healing quickly. Although last year that was not the case. He was out for 2.5 months. But he said typically he does heal quickly. It seems to be a mild injury. He didn't want to make any predictions about when he's going to come back because he said it just creates too much noise and too much, controversy. So all we know is he's not available for tomorrow, for Wednesday's game. He was not at training on Tuesday, not even off to the side. So, the way it works is they're not at training. Then they return to training on the side individually with a trainer. Then they return to the group, and then they go back, they get the medical clearance. So for right now, they don't have Messi. I doubt that he would be ready for the league game against Orlando on the road on Sunday, but he did not rule him out or anything. He only ruled him out for the Pumas game on Wednesday night. But
Right.
obviously, a big loss, and they lost him in the 11th minute of the game against Necaxa. So they were doing really well. They were winning, and he goes down with, it wasn't even really a contact injury. He went down, pulled something, and tried to stumble around a little bit, but couldn't, sat down. and he's out. So that was a really big loss for the team. Obviously, that's the best player in the world is not available. That's a big story.
Yeah, you lose your big gun right out of the chute practically there, 11 minutes in. And the last time, well, the most recent example of that, obviously he didn't miss because of injury. It was because of the whole MLS All-Star Game controversy, but they dueled to a scoreless tie against Cincinnati. They were even more shorthanded that day without Jordi Alba as well. But a scoreless tie would put things in jeopardy for their advancement this week, as we said before. They would have to go to the PK round, and then even if they get that valuable 2 points, it may not be enough. So this team is going to have to find a way to get those goals. Probably, and like we always like to say, this team barely ever gets a clean sheet. So probably more than one goal against Pumas to get this done.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. We've seen already in the first two games. The anytime the United States plays Mexico, whether it be a national league, national team games, or when MLS teams play Liga MX, it's always hot. There's always a lot of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Both leagues have a bit of a chip on their shoulders and want to prove that they're better than the other one. The Mexican league's been around longer, but MLS has come along and signed some really big stars, including a lot of them on this team. So the Mexican teams are very fired up when they play against MLS teams. And the Mexican national team and the U.S. national team also have a pretty hot rivalry.
Right.
So this stands to be another really, really good game. We're going to talk about that, a little preview of what to expect from the Pumas game. But what we do know is that Messi will not be there.
Yeah, and looking at the standings right now, like you said, Miami in third. The top four from MLS advanced to the quarterfinals. The top four Liga MX teams in this tournament so far advance, and then they match up against each other in the quarterfinal round. But only Seattle and Portland are the only teams that have won their two games so far outright in regulation, 3 points each, and they're 1-2 right now. So Miami
Yeah,
sitting there, yeah,
Portland, but
Portland
coached
Timbers.
by Phil Neville.
That's right.
Portland Timbers, coached by Phil Neville. He would love in the late round to play against Inter Miami. What a storyline that would be! Oh my goodness.
That would be tremendous for sure. Miami sitting with 5 points. Then Minnesota is the technically right now the team with 4 points in fourth, but it's a mess after that. Like you said, the Galaxy have four. So does Columbus, Orlando, Cincinnati, the Red Bulls. It would be chaotic to try and figure out that tiebreaker if that's what
Well,
ends up
not only
happening.
that,
So
there are going to be more games played after their game is done. So
right,
they won't even know, they won't even know in advance, like, oh, we're this many teams are in and this many teams are out. There are still games to be played after
right,
their game.
right.
So they just need to
The only
win.
way to be sure.
Bottom
Right.
line, they need to win. They have it in their hands.
Exactly.
If they win, they're in. That's it.
Exactly. And they'll have to figure it out. And Rodrigo de Paul could factor into this. I mean, he's here. He was introduced to remember in that game where Messi and Alba sat out. Then he got in, and he's played two games so far. I mean, he's looked fast. He's looked good on the field. I guess. What are
Yeah,
your
I think
thoughts of
he's had
so
a
far?
big
What you've seen
impact.
out of Michelle?
Yeah, I think he brings a lot of energy. He's known as El Motorcito, and you can see why. I mean, he's all over the place. He is a box to box midfielder. He runs all over. He also does tend to push the team forward. He will do a backward pass if necessary or sideways, but he tends to really go forward with the ball, and he passes a lot forward. And so
Yep.
that is something that I did notice. It's just his style. He likes to push everything up, and he does have quickness, and he has a lot of energy. I mean, he came as hot. It's been very, very hot and very humid, like 90 degrees hot and 90 something percent humidity. And he came in and not only started in his first game, but played the full 90 minutes.
Right.
And then again in this last game. So he's played the full game, has not come off the field. He looks to have a lot of energy. He seems to be meshing with the guys pretty quickly for a new player. He's obviously got a lot of experience, and he's definitely a personality. I think he was brought in to be a figure for the figurehead for this team going forward, especially after, if and whenever it is that Messi decides to hang it up, to have one of his close friends and a guy who does have a personality. He's into fashion. He has all the tattoos. He's good with the media, and he's a good player. And he's 31 years old. They have him signed through 2029. So they have him signed on a 4-year deal, well, a loan plus then, if they exercise the option for 3 more years, they would have him on the roster till 2029.
Right.
So I think this is a good long-term and short-term signing. And I had a chance to talk to him. He had a press conference the other day, his first official press conference, and a few outlets got an opportunity to spend some time with him. And I got to meet him a little bit, chat with him about some stuff off the field. I wrote about it, about his family, about his mom, about his love for Miami. He said that he's loved Miami for a long time. Started coming here in 2011 or 2012, was vacationing here almost every year. He said he loves the energy of this city. He loves the lifestyle. And he always kind of dreamed of living here at some point in his life. And then one of his best friends, Lionel Messi, comes here, and it all kind of worked out for him to come. So anyway, I did have a chance to talk to him, asked him a couple of questions like, if you were not a soccer player, what would you be? And here's what he said.
Las cosas de la moda, te iba a preguntar de eso. ¿Cuándo empezó eso? ¿Eso fue influencia de David Beckham o fue tuyo solo?
No, la moda siempre me gustó. Siempre fue una parte en la que le di mucha importancia a la ropa. También es un lugar donde encuentro como relajarme. Es uno de los pocos hobbies que tengo, ir a mirar ropa, mirar gente cómo se viste. Entonces, bueno, siempre me transmitió un poco de paz ese lugar y bueno, lo fui como incrementando con los años y hoy soy un apasionado de todo eso.
Y David Beckham también, que está en las modas y eso. ¿Puedes hablar un poco más? Hablaste antes en la conferencia de prensa de la influencia de él en ti.
Sí, él obviamente que me preguntás en relación a la moda. Sí, él... No, sí, de todo. A ver, lo que decía era eso de... Sobre todo a mí me gusta mucho de él, cómo supo conectar la moda con el fútbol en un lugar donde el futbolista siempre por ahí se lo veía mal con eso porque... Bueno, no lo sé mucho por qué, pero una foto de tal manera vestido o estar en tal lugar o el pelo se relacionaba con que no, y si perdió y si ganó y por qué lo hace. Y había una seguridad en él que entendía que él podía ser jugador de fútbol y también podía gustarle otra cosa. Cómo supo fusionar esas dos cosas me encantó y bueno... nada, lo seguí siempre de ese lugar, ¿no? De poder fusionar esas dos cosas entendiendo que el fútbol va por otro lado y que uno puede hacerlo, te salga bien o mal, no tiene que ver con lo otro.
Y los tattoos, tenía que preguntar, ¿cuál fue el primero y cuándo, qué edad tenías?
Y el primero me hice acá el nombre de mi mamá a los 14.
A los 14.
A los 14 años. Ahí con un tatuador cerca de mi casa.
¿Qué dijo tu mamá cuando lo hiciste?
Me lo hice para el día del cumpleaños y bueno, se enojó un poco porque era muy chico.
¿Tu cumpleaños o el cumpleaños de ella?
Cumpleaños de ella. Ya, sí. Y se enojó un poquito, pero nada, después le gustó. Y ahí arrancó y bueno, ya son varios años en lo que...
¿Y cuántos hay?
No, casi todo. Creo que me queda un poco esta pierna y nada.
¿Tienes lugar para algo para el Inter Miami? ¿Va?
Sí, ojalá tenga mucho lugar, ¿no? Ojalá sean varios títulos.
All right. So he seems like he really does seem like a friendly guy. I asked him, if you were not a soccer player, what would you be? And he said that was a really difficult question. He's thought about that. He's never had a good answer. He said, I guess if I had to say one thing, it would be fashion. And then he talked about in that clip his passion for fashion. He said that he's always been interested in what people are wearing and going shopping for clothes. It's something that brings him peace. It's one of his few hobbies. He said he doesn't really have many hobbies, but one of his hobbies is clothes. He likes shopping for clothes. He likes seeing what's in style, what other people are wearing. And he did also talk about David Beckham being an influence on him. and how one of the things he always liked about David Beckham is that he was able to merge fashion with sport, and he said that he was criticized for that sometimes. He would wear his hair a certain way or wear a certain outfit, and people would suggest that maybe, that affected how he played. If he had a bad game, they would talk about his hairstyle or his fashion. But he said that he was a strong enough person, a confident person, that he was able to realize that you could be a really good soccer player and also have a passion for something else. So he said he always took a lesson from David Beckham, and he feels that he kind of, emulates him. He did wear the same hairstyles as David Beckham. He's done the braids, he did the bleached hair, he did the pony, the little headband on top. So, he talked about David Beckham. And then I asked him about his tattoos. Speaking of David Beckham, also, he has tattoos all over his body. And I asked him what was the first one. He said the first one was his mother's name, and he pointed to his heart. Over his heart, he had his mother's name tattooed when he was 14 years old. He said there was a tattoo artist in the neighborhood, and for her birthday, when he was 14, for her birthday, he had her name tattooed over his heart. And I asked how did she take that? He said that she got mad at first. She was not too happy because he was only 14, and he went and got this tattoo without her permission, obviously. But he said eventually she liked it and got used to it, and now they're all over his body. And he said there's a little space left on the bottom of his right leg. And I asked him if maybe there's a space for something Inter Miami there. And he said, I hope so, because I hope to win many titles here. So he's going to leave a little bit of canvas on his right leg for some commemorative Inter Miami tattoos. So anyway,
so much talk about
guy.
him. So much talk about so much talk about him coming to play with Messi, and that's part of it. But he's also coming and being with pretty much with his idol, with David Beckham too. It wasn't just the Messi connection. I mean, he's got best of both worlds.
Right, he wore number 7. Yep. He wore number 7. He chose number 7 initially as an homage to David Beckham, and this whole thing about wearing his hairstyles and emulating the fashion with soccer, all of that, was influenced by David Beckham. So his one of his idols is now his boss, and one of his best friends is now his teammate. Right. And he's definitely having a big impact on the team. Now, one thing is, because it's obviously understood, Messi's friends do start and generally play 90 minutes. We know that, right?
So how does that affect? Good.
Huh? They're pretty good.
They're usually pretty good too. So yeah.
Yeah, they usually deserve to play the 90 minutes. Now, if you are the other midfielders, like Yannick Bright, like Kramashi, that is probably going to cut into their minutes. And so we asked Yannick Bright today about, what about Rodrigo de Paul, about his arrival and what he brings to the team. And also, what does it mean for him as far as his playing time? Here's what Yannick had to say.
He's really good. He's really good, I met him last time, and then he played the game 2 days later. So, it's obviously really, really good. You can tell how his level is. He's a good person too. I'm excited to have him here and to learn from him.
What specifically does he do? What is it that he does in that role that you can see already in the first week?
I think the amount of mistake it doesn't make, is really good, and really aware, and I think it's something to learn. The decision making he has, the runs he makes, it's all things that playing with Leo, he probably now knows, and I think it's something we can all learn from him. The goal is still the same, everybody's here for a reason, and everybody's trying to play, so I'm the same. It's really good, I know, but I can do good too, and it's up to the coach at that point.
Yeah, so I always like Yannick Bright. He's very honest. One of the things, he's very, very intelligent. Yannick Bright, I always say he's very bright. He has a master's degree. He went to college. I think he majored in finance or economics. He's a really smart guy. Whenever we interview him, he always has something interesting to say. And, And he's also very honest. And he says, you heard him. Yes, Rodrigo de Paul is very good. And here's why he's really good. But he said, but I'm good too. I can play too. And now it's up to the coaches, to decide. Yannick came back after, having missed several games with injury, including the Club World Cup games. And he played really well off the bench the other day against Necaxa. He made a huge clearance. He made one really good interruption of two times Necaxa was going forward and looked like they were attacking and coming close to the goal. And two times he made really big defensive stops. And so he is, of the midfielders that they have, he really is one of the best defenders among the midfielders. So it's going to be interesting to see how Javier Mascherano now uses the other midfielders now that Rodrigo de Paul is there. He's obviously a great player. He's coming from Spain. He's Messi's best friend. He's going to be the starter. I mean, I think it's pretty much understood. The question is, how does he work in all the other players now? It makes it a little more complicated for the other guys.
Yeah, we talked about Kremonski and how he admired Rodrigo de Paul, and I think I even told you, I was like, well, now he might take his spot, and here we go. This is the unfortunate part. He gets to be one of his idols, and oops, move aside, kid.
Yes,
give him a few more minutes for now. But anyway, this has been, and he has made an impact so far, and these first two Leagues Cup games have been dramatic to say the least. I mean, I got a chance to cover that Atlas game. It was dicey down to the wire. Looked like it was headed for PKs. They come up with a big one. Cello Wygant with the big one at the end that gets them to 3 points. And now this Necaxa game, which we went over with everything going on, this team now, let's see how much of an impact they can make, because obviously without Messi up front, this would be, I keep saying, even in that game, we saw Luis Suarez, which we haven't mentioned yet on this episode. Luis Suarez, we keep waiting him to kind of get going, to kind of, it seems like little bits have happened for that. But this is the type of game where it'd be perfect moment for a Pistolero to come in and save the day. So let's see what happens. Javier Mascherano spoke a little bit about what they've done in Leagues Cup so far.
La sensación del partido totalmente amarga. Un partido que lo teníamos controlado, jugando los primeros 15 minutos como lo habíamos planificado, dominando el juego. Nos habíamos puesto por arriba en el marcador, además de haber tenido la lesión de Leo y una falta que no es falta. ¿Y qué te voy a contar? Te terminan jodiendo un partido. Posiblemente te pueden terminar jodiendo una clasificación y te quedas con la cara de tonto. Esa es la realidad. No se entiende muchas veces estas cosas. No se entiende ni siquiera que no haya ido al bar a verlo. Por lo menos justifica algo y anda al bar a verlo. Por lo menos. Pero bueno. Es lo que hay, no me gusta hablar tampoco demasiado, pero tampoco me voy a dejar que nos pisen la cabeza. Esa es mi idea. Después me quedo con el aspecto positivo del equipo, de haber jugado durante muchos minutos con un hombre menos, haberse adaptado a las circunstancias. Después cuando nos empatan el partido, en el segundo tiempo estaba la sensación que a ninguno de los dos nos servía demasiado el empate y era un golpe por golpe. Sufrimos, claramente, porque haber jugado 40 y pico minutos con un jugador menos se termina sintiendo. Pero bueno, el equipo creyó hasta el final, lo empató, no con muchas ideas, pero sí con ímpetu, con corazón. Y me deja esa parte positiva, ¿no? De un equipo que lucha, que le duele perder y que ven de cara a la derrota como hoy.
Javier, ¿qué opinas al respecto sobre que un partido que disputa el Inter Miami frente al Necaxa, en este caso, sea dirigido por un árbitro de México?
Está mal.
Está mal.
¿Y está mal? ¿Qué te parece?
Sí,
¿A vos te parece está bien?
No.
Ninguna competición la puede dirigir ninguna competición que se enfrentan dos equipos de diferentes países la puede dirigir un árbitro de un país que está participando el equipo. Después no sé cómo es la historia esta, no me voy a meter ni me interesa. Vos me estás preguntando qué me parece, está mal. Está mal porque de todas las competiciones que he participado como jugador y el poco tiempo que llevo de entrenador, nunca un árbitro de la misma nacionalidad de mi equipo o del rival me dirigió. Es la primera vez y está mal. Si quieren hacer una competencia seria, tienen que cambiar. Lo siento. Esta es así. Es así de clarito. Y no quiero, no digo que el error es porque el árbitro, a ver, todos nos equivocamos, faltaría más. Me extraña que no haya ido al VAR. A ver, me extraña. Por lo menos, lo vuelvo a repetir, confirmá tu decisión en el VAR. Confirmala. ¿Qué cuesta? 30 segundos más, 1 minuto. Van por cada cosa al VAR. Y no fueron por una expulsión que te cambia el partido. Nada, para mí está mal.
Wow.
Okay,
lay it down.
He
Wow.
laid it down. He lets talk about honest
right.
too. Javier Mascherano.
Tell
Say
Michelle,
what you will, the guy.
translate this for everybody, because there were a few words there that cannot be translated.
Right. Well, he said that the game, even though they won, they ended up winning in the penalty shootout. Which was great. I mean, Luis Suarez scores the winning PK, converts the winning PK. Rocco Rios Novo, give it up. Rocco had a big save. That save got them the 1 extra point, which is why they are in the position they're in.
Right.
If they would have lost the penalty kick shootout, they would be in a very tough position right now. That one save was massive. So they did end up getting the victory in penalties, but Javier Mascherano asked about his feelings after the game. He said, "My feelings are bitter." He was angry because he said, well, this is a game that we had in hand, that we were controlling even after Messi's injury. And then they go and ruin a game by a foul that was not a foul. We're talking about Maxi Falcon. What Maxi did, for anyone who didn't watch the game or did watch the game, he did tug. There was a player running toward the goal. He did tug on his shirt lightly, a light tug on the shirt, but then let go. It was a slight tug on the shirt, let go. And then the guy kept going and then falls down. The guy did not fall down because of anything that Maxi Falcon did. So, I'm not saying this being a homer. I'm saying this really, truly being objective. That was not a red card. And Mascherano was so angry. He said, we had the game under control, and then they go and ruin the game with, a foul that was not a foul, and potentially ruin our opportunity to advance in this tournament. So they spoil the game. They may be spoiling our chance to advance in the game because of a terrible call. And then he says, they didn't even go to VAR. He said, why did they not go to VAR? Go ahead.
Right. No. So say ruin and spoil are the polite ways to say
nice
it.
ways.
He basically said that they effed up their game and may have effed up their chances of advancing in this tournament.
Right. I was
like, wow,
giving the PG.
No, in all seriousness,
I'm giving the PG version. Yes, but it is true.
But so people know how. No, but just so people can see, because if this was in English, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is one of those viral clips that go all over the place."
It was strong words. It was strong words, and I think anyone who watched the game, maybe except people for Necaxa, would agree that was a very bad call. And what he said is that what really made him upset is that it did not go to VAR. He said, you're talking about a call early in the game that has a major impact on the game, a major impact. You're going to expel a player in the 17th minute in a cup game. He said, at the very least, justify it by going to VAR. Go to VAR and check. He said, what would that take? 30 seconds, 1 minute? They go to VAR for everything.
All the time.
I found it very strange. He said, the way he always does, I found it very strange, muy extraño, that they did not go to VAR. And then he was asked, how did you feel about the fact that the head official was Mexican, and the opponent was from Mexico? And he flat out, he didn't even let the guy finish the question. He said, it's wrong. It's wrong. He pointed his water bottle. It's wrong. He said, in my entire career as a player and now as a coach, I have never participated in a game where the referee is of that nationality of one of the teams playing.
I mean, that's pretty.
So
That's true.
he was upset.
That's true, because like if you look at like in the World Cup, you never see that. You never see one side refereeing or not. I mean, that's basic. I mean, that goes down. That's even like, I mean, I see that at the high school level. Like you're one county playing another, and the officials are from a third county. Like you don't take any chances when it comes to that. So that's
you don't
surprising.
just because even the perception.
The optics.
And he said it. He said it doesn't mean that the decision he made was because he's Mexican, but the optics are, you want to feel at least that you have an impartial. It doesn't look right that a Mexican official is throwing up a red card without going to VAR for a questionable call. And it was a controversial call. So he was very upset. And it turned out that the club almost immediately appealed. The club did appeal. I reached out to some, I reported the next day that the club was going to appeal and see if they could get Maxi Falcon reinstated. And guess what? Tuesday morning, the Leagues Cup put out a press release that, it went to the disciplinary committee. They reviewed it. They reviewed the appeal and they did reinstate Maxi Falcon. The red card was rescinded. So Javier Mascherano got his wish. The red card was rescinded, and Maxi Falcon will be available to play Wednesday against Pumas. So that's big news, and he has been playing very well. So if you're already not going to have Messi to also lose Maxi, which they did in the game against Necaxa, they lost Messi in the 11th minute. They lost Maxi, who's a defensive leader, in the 17th minute. So now they are going to have him back for this game.
Yeah, and that's big on the defensive side, especially because we've seen with his absence how it has affected this team in the past. And I know we keep talking about they're going to have to score, maybe even score more than once, but you have to start with that foundation on defense and not give up those goals either. So they need that. That's a big, not add. I guess you could say avoiding a big loss. I guess already before you even step on the field for this game. But
So
let's see. I mean, we talked a lot about it, but let's wrap this up by talking a little bit about this matchup, Michelle, against Pumas, another team. I mean, each game has been down to the wire and close with these Liga MX teams. I don't expect anything different, especially when Messi's not on the field.
Not only that, but Pumas is in 5th place. The top 4. Pumas is in 5th place, tied with a few other teams. Highly motivated.
Yep.
They need to move up one spot to get across that line. They're going up against an Inter Miami team that does not have Lionel Messi. Believe me, they are going to be fired up. Now, they are also missing one of their top players, their goalkeeper. Costa Rican national team star, Keylor Navas, was red carded and tossed from the last game. Now, the guy who replaced him was 17 years old, Rodrigo Parra. We don't know yet if they're going to start the 17-year-old in a game this big, or if there's someone else in their goalkeeping core that is more experienced that they will put in. But they will be missing their starting keeper, who is one of their stars and one of their top players. One thing to keep in mind with this Pumas team is that they have been behind at halftime. They've been behind in both of the games so far, and they have come back and scored goals in the second half. In this last game that they played, I think it was against Atlanta, they ended up scoring 2 goals in the end of the game, and both of them were scored by Carrasquilla. Carrasquilla is a Panamanian national team player who was a star on Houston Dynamo, and is now playing for Pumas, and is a very, very, very good midfielder that Javier Mascherano said the midfielders, they have to be very careful with Carrasquilla and Caicedo. Both of those are their 2-star midfielders. They're very dangerous, and they will not have their goalkeeper, but this is a team that is very good. They're going to be highly motivated. Like I said, they're in 5th place, trying to get to 4th. So they are fighting hard to cross the line to get into 4th place. They're going to be highly motivated to beat this Miami team.
Right now, 4 teams with 5 points on the Liga MX side of the standings. So second through fifth all have 5 points right now. So a big cluster there of teams trying to get in, trying to secure the necessary points, and Pumas being one of them. This makes it an adventure. And two, if Parra gets the nod, then you've got the two young goalies, him on one side,
Right.
and Rocco again,
You've
the
got
23-year-old Rocco on Miami
You've
side.
got Rocco on one side and maybe a 17-year-old on the other side, and maybe
Yeah.
Inter Miami, with all its experience, even without Messi, can take advantage of a 17-year-old keeper if he is the one who starts. So that is something to watch for when the lineups come out on Wednesday night, is who is starting in goal for Pumas. Is it the 17-year-old or is it somebody else? And then for Inter Miami, how do they line up? Probably similar to how they've lined up the other games, except for there is no Lionel Messi. But other than that, Rocco is still, Ustari was back at training, by the way, and Drake Callender were both at training on Tuesday, so they are improving. But Mascherano said, not ready. Rocco will still be the starter against this Pumas team. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup, and expect some fireworks, on the field. By the way, we didn't even mention in the Atlas game, in the first game, that Messi's bodyguard was suspended because there was a little fracas after the game, and he ran onto the field. He did not have a credential. He was not credentialed to be on the field. He ran onto the field to break up a little skirmish and, put his hands on one or two Mexican players. That did not go over well. He was suspended. It came out, they put out a press release that the tournament, they didn't say him by name, but they said a member of the Inter Miami delegation who did not have a credential went onto the field and was involved in this skirmish. And that individual has been suspended from the rest of the entire tournament. That individual is Lionel Messi's bodyguard.
Well, Messi's out for this game too. So I mean, if they want, they could sit together in the stands, and he can keep an eye on Messi in the stands on Wednesday night. It'll be a little bit easier. But we'll be keeping our eyes on Inter Miami for sure. I'm sure all of you will too. And we'll be back next week to talk about, did they advance? How did it go against Pumas? And then there's another game that we'll be talking about.
Orlando,
on the
we
flip
didn't even
side.
know.
Orlando.
Yes, they play Orlando on Sunday on the road.
Which is huge because they're going to jump right back into MLS play, and maybe possibly likely without Messi as well. And this is a huge game. If you look at the MLS standings where we left off, Miami only 1 point separating the state rivals right now in 5th and 6th place in the East. So this is with the regular season winding down in the MLS, those are valuable points to be had as well. So a very important week in both competitions for Miami.
Yep, a lot. There's a lot to watch over the next 4 or 5 days, and there's going to be a lot to talk about next Wednesday as well. So stay tuned. Keep following. Share your comments. We love reading your comments. For those of you watching on YouTube and tuning in, send us your comments about all of these. It seems there's always some kind of controversy and drama. There's always some kind of drama going on with this team, but it gives us a lot to talk about. That's for sure.
For sure. And we will do just that next week on Inside Inter Miami. Remember, YouTube, MiamiHerald.com, or if you're listening, Spotify, iTunes, all of that. And we appreciate you as always. Until next time, for Michelle Kaufman, I'm Andre Fernandez. We'll see you next week, everybody.